What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today I'm here to bring you a deck tech for Inalla Archmage Ritualist for the EDH format, or Commander, however you want to refer to it. And it's currently January 2019, just for a point of reference in time for what's released and what's not, depending on how far in the future you see this video. So let's get right into this. I'm going to blaze through as fast as I can with this deck tech, just because I don't want it to drone on too long. 60 or so different cards can go for a long time, so I'm going to try to make it as concise as possible with my explanation and just overall dialogue about these cards. But real fast, what Inalla does is whenever she's in the command zone or on the battlefield, if a non-token wizard enters the battlefield, you can pay a colorless and make a token that is a copy of that wizard. It gains haste and exile it at the beginning of the next end step. So that's crazy because it's field or the command zone. Absolute insanity. It also, Inalla has the ability to tap 5 wizards when on the field, and target player loses 7 life, so that's also good, but mainly it's that Eminence first ability that is just so incredibly fun and shenanigansy, if that's even a word. Just a lot of fun interaction, interesting stack shenanigans. It's just a lot of fun. So let's get right into this. So you probably want a couple tokens if you're playing Inalla, just worth noting, because you do make tokens. So we're going to start off with creatures, go lowest CMC up the chain. So first off, Viscous here. Being able to sack a creature to scry 1 can get additional value off those tokens before they get exiled, as well as enable other shenanigan combo type things. Occasionally, it's a really strong card for 1 mana. Definitely worth running. Now, one of the 2 drops only run 1 CMC for creatures. So Information Dealer, tap to look at the top X cards, where X is the amount of wizards you control, put them back in any order. It's really good, basically a Sensei's Divining Top-esque ability that will scale with how big your board is. Super strong. Nim the Pain Artist, taps for a cost of a blue, a red, and X. You can shock target creature, including itself, for X damage, and its controller draws X. So it can be political, oh, you want to draw some cards, I'll shock your guy. It can be just a engine to get additional value out of those tokens, right? Shock them, kill them after, you deal a little combat damage or something, draw cards, really good. Naban, double those ETBs, we love it, too good. Stony Brook Banneret, make all your wizards cost less, 1 colorless less. Yeah, optimize those casting costs. Thought Courier, tap to draw a card, discard a card. Since you run reanimate stuff in here, this is actually really sneaky and strong. Void Mage Prodigy, sack a wizard for the cost of 2 blue and counter a spell. One of those cards that can really help answer problematic stuff, but depending on when you drop it, it could also just draw a lot of hate towards you, so you gotta be careful. Apprentice Necromancer, just a reanimate on a stick until the end of turn. Very strong. Augur Bolus, ETB, look at the top 3, instant or sorcery to hand. Again, just getting to the instants and sorceries you do run. Even though we don't run an insane amount, it's really important to get to the ones we want. Vidalcan Aether Mage, this card's just really good because it has wizard cycling. That's what is really relevant about it. 3 mana, pitch it to the grave, instant speed, search out any wizard to the hand. So those are the 2 CMCs. Definitely a fair amount of those. We want to optimize our casting costs so we don't run too many high CMC creatures. Seagate Oracle, ETB, look at the top 2 cards, 1 hand, 1 to bottom. Again, good card economy with being able to double ETBs with our commander and just keep the cards flowing. Merchant of Secrets, ETB, draw a card. Again, more card economy cards that are just good ETBs. Champion of Wits, draw cards equal to its power, and if you do discard 2 cards, sneaky good because it's a lot of card selection, as well as being able to just dump stuff to grave. Again, really sneaky, really strong. Aether Adept, bounce creatures to hand when it enters. Bounce just 1 creature, but you can make it 2 by making a token. So you can bounce another creature you control, itself, bounce 2 opponents' things. Very flexible. Dualcaster, ETB, copy and instant sorcery. Very strong. Nice effect to steal those tutor effects, or yeah, just get in on whatever the action is that you don't have of your instants and sorceries that other people do. So, Jace's Archivist and Magnus of the Wheel are just both discard hands of each player and draw a certain amount of cards. Archivist is draw the greatest number of cards drawn this way, so each person does around the table, and then Magnus of the Wheel is just draw 7. Atari, 4 mana, tap, counter a spell, answer those problematic things. We like it. Magnus of the Wheel, tap 3, tap it, exile it. Until the end of turn, you may play cards from your graveyard as though they were in your hand, and then exile those cards. If a card is put to a graveyard this turn, exile it. So you can just enter the battlefield with this, make a token, then exile the token, and just do that whenever you need to. You don't even have to exile this, which is actually really crazy. So, bear with me, just a couple more 3-drops. Patron Wizard, another sort of oppressive card, but it can really help answer those problematic things when you need to. Tap a wizard, counterspell unless they pay 1. Kravalkian Sorcerer, discard a card, draw a card. If it's a black card discarded, draw 2, discard one of those. So again, digging through the top as well as dumping stuff to grave to reanimate. And last 3 drops, Sigil Tracer, tap 2 wizards, a blue and a colorless. Copy target ancillary sorcery. Really shenanigansy. This card can help, like, counter spells on stack, copy that counter spell, you're countering my spell, copy my spell, jump to the top of the stack, all types of interesting interactions. Onto the 4 drops, Voidmage Husher, flash, enter the battlefield to counter an activated ability. Whenever you play a spell, you may return this to your hand. So it recycles itself, which is good, as well as having a way to answer some activated abilities is actually really nice. Riptide Director, tap 2 blue, 2 colorless, draw a card for each wizard you control. Very strong. Disciple of Bolas, draw cards, gain life, sack creatures. Venser, bounce stuff. Again, opening people up to combat damage is really advantageous, as well as reusing your ATBs or just getting problematic stuff off the board. Archaeomancer, last 4 drop. ETB to add in our sorcery rated graveyard hand. Very good ETB. We maximize on this kind of ETB to an extent, just because it's one of the ones that really lets the deck be super strong, is when you can just reuse those instances of sorceries that are really advantageous for you. So, one of the 5 drops, a little more redundancy. ETBs to add instant source or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Excuse me, I'm trying to talk a little fast, I'm not very good at it, clearly. Is it Chronarch, Salvager of Secrets, both very good enter the battlefields. Bloodline Necromancer, a crazy enter the battlefield, basically just lets you ETB to put any wizard from your graveyard onto the battlefield. If you're panharmoniconing this, right, you make a token, both of this and the token will trigger twice, so that's 4. It's one of the cards that can really make, if you can reanimate this every time someone board wipes, as long as it's not an exile board wipe, you can just kind of get all your cards back from your grave really painlessly. Super strong. Yeah, highly recommend it. Burglar Wills, steal stuff equal or less than power-wise to the amount of creatures you control, and it doesn't have any clause for when you have to give it back, so you just steal it as long as you have it on your board, basically. Azami, tap a wizard, draw a card. Crazy strong. Teferi, Mage of Zahalifer, something like that. Flash gives all your other all your creatures flash, and opponents can only cast spells at sorcery speed. That's really good. Holy crap. Sidisi, the only non-wizard creature we run, basically just having a ETB to sack and search, is really strong, and since we do reanimate stuff, we can kind of recycle that ability a fair amount. For a win con, Windrime Prophets, of course. I mean, if you run wizards, you should probably run this, just because if you can get a hit in on someone directly with Windrime, you can essentially win that game, so that's really good. Arcane Omnipotent, being able to tap and draw 3 is just good card economy. There's been games where this is just too high of a casting cost to ever really use, but there's been games where that drawing 3 cards every turn really just helped me get a advantageous commanding position on the game. So it's definitely one of those cards where I'm on the fence, but it is very strong nonetheless. And for our only 7 drop, Galecaster Colossus. Tap a wizard, bounce an on-land permanent that you don't control to your opponent's hand. Very good. Very good. I kind of butchered the text there, but it's a permanent that you don't control to its owner's hand. Sorry. basically it just turns all your board of kind of minutely scary wizards into very problematic problem solvers. So, all great. So that's about 30 or so wizards. Definitely, this has been a good count for me. As you see, the mana curve is very low. There's only a couple high costing things, and that really makes it easy to kind of swarm the board with wizards, start getting a lot of advantages very fast. Onto the mana rocks. So artifact mana rocks. Soul Ring. Well, first Bauble. These are just both hit the battlefield for 1 mana, while Soul Ring is obviously better than Well First Bauble. This searches out any color, so in not green decks, this is actually a really good card, I think. On to the 2-drops. Charcoal Diamond, Dimir Signet, Rakdos Signet, Rakdos Talisman or something, Felwar Stone. Just some 2-drops, very strong for catching that additional tempo turn 2. Chromatic Lantern is the last one. Mana fixing to the utmost fullest. So good. So those are your mana rocks. Could probably bump that number up a bit. It is low. It's not all the way at 10, but you know, I haven't had too much of a problem. Sundial of the Infinite. Sorcery speed. Tap it and 1 mana. End your turn. So this lets you keep all of your tokens around. That's what's really crazy about this card. Definitely highly recommend that card. Herald's Horn makes all your wizards cost 1 less and could potentially be card advantage too. Panharmonicon. Again, double those enter the battlefields, please. So strong. Onto the enchantment now. We only run a couple enchantments, but they're all very good. Mystic Remora. We want to draw more cards. Ristic Study. Want to draw more cards. Mana Echoes. We want to just get absurd amounts of mana for all the wizards we have on board, and all the tokens that are wizards. And yeah, Mana Echoes is insane in this deck. So good. And Kindred Discovery. Draw cards for all the ETBs. Since we're making all the tokens enter, Kindred Discovery is just really strong. Okay. Blazing through it. You guys still with me? You guys still with me? Okay. On to the instants. We're almost done. Okay. Rakdos Charm lets you either exile all cards from opponent's graveyard, from target opponent's player's graveyard, I should say, destroy target artifact, or each creature deals 1 damage to its controller. Someone makes infinite tokens, kill them, destroy an artifact, some pesky artifact, or exile all cards from a graveyard. That's actually one of the best ones. You need some graveyard hate if you play Commander. I'm just telling you now. So having that ability on this is really good. Chaos Warp, just being able to get rid of any permanent, you know, it's like sometimes not being able to take care of enchantments in Grixis can just be obnoxious, so this gives you an opportunity to take care of those. Aetherize and Evacuation. Aetherize is a little more situational. They have to be attacking for the creatures to be returned to the opponent's hand, while Evacuation, you just bounce all creatures to their owner's hand. But these are just good because they're instant speed board wipes. Evacuation is definitely an instant speed board wipe, while Aetherize is more situational, but still, they both kind of fit that category. Thrilly Encore, put onto the battlefield under your control all creature cards in all graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Instant speed, so this is crazy because it just basically turns board wipes around in your favor. Very strong. Now onto the sorceries. We run a Reanimate, a Stitch Together, Victimize, a Zombify for the Reanimate package. These are all just creatures to the battlefield from grave, basically. Reanimate does that, but you can lose life equal to CMC. Stitch Together puts a creature to your hand, but if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, it's right at the field, so that's actually a really strong one. Victimize, sack a creature, put 2 creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and Zombify, just return a creature to the battlefield from your graveyard. So, all very good. I highly recommend playing at least, 4 or 5, or more, so Reanimates, because they're really important to the kind of strategy of either cheating Wonderwine in or just getting a lot of value out of your graveyard. Glimpse of the Unthinkable. Target player puts the top 10 cards of their library into the graveyard. This is really good. Can just be really good card advantage to see 10 additional cards for 2 mana really early in the game. Fill your graveyard up. Really get your engine going. And the last sorcery is Diabolic Tutor. Yeah, I'd put my Demonic in here, but this deck is like, it's optimized. It's not, it's very competitive, but it's not like full top tier competitive EDH. So, I don't mind the Diabolic Tutor instead. Okay. So that's essentially the bulk of the deck. We'll just quickly go over the lands of the deck and we'll call it good. Basically, some of the cool lands we run. Path to Ancestry, Command Tower, Unclaimed Territory, Ancient Ziggurat, Exotic Orchard, Reliquary Tower. These are all very important. These all kind of just add any color for your wizards. Exotic Orchard is more situational, and Reliquary Tower, not having a maximum hand size, is really important in this deck. Polluted Delta, Scalding Tarn, Bloodstained Mire, and Polluted Delta, all very important to have some mana fixing to get those dual tapping colored lands. Smoldering Marsh and Sunken Hollow are the dual colored lands I do run. While they're not actual shock lands, they just come into play untapped if you control 2 or more basics. So more of the time than not, they're coming into play untapped. Yeah, just pretty good choice of cards that you can get with those if you're not just getting basics with your fetches. So very good. Dragon Summit, Greven Cairns, Ipnu Rivulet. This lets you stack it for a cost of tap it and a colorless and a blue to put top 4 cards of target player's library into the grave. So it can be good on yourself just to mill a couple cards. Shivan Reef is actually a really nice card too, also to come into play and tap for colorless or get you additional colors that you don't have. And Desert of the Fervent, just being an additional mana that you can drop, even though it comes into play tap, or you could just cycle it away. So those are all nice utility, and yeah, just some good lands. Those are all the non-basics we run. Onto the basics, we run, I think, 12 islands, 8 swamps, and 1 mountain. I could count those real fast, I guess, to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. Yeah, so 12 islands, and 8 swamps. It's been verified, and 1 mountain. Mountains tend to not be as relevant as swamps and islands, but yeah, so those are all the basics. Definitely a really fun deck. It's one of the 2017, I believe, or maybe it's 2018. No, it's 2017 pre-constructed decks. Yeah, Inalla is like just a super cool commander. You can do a lot with her. Definitely really fun, and you can make a really high tier ceiling deck, or you know, a lower tier ceiling deck. It's all really fun. I've played Inalla at many power levels. I prefer a little bit more competitive decks, but even then you don't have to go for your combo wins. You can really just kind of grind people out, do Battle of Attrition with this deck. It has so many lines of play, and if people don't really like you comboing out, you really don't need to combo out. So you can play whatever game you want to play, and the environment that you're in most is acceptable of, and makes everyone else enjoy themselves too. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I hope it had some insight and you know, gave you some good ideas for good cards to put in your Inalla build. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Take care. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the content. See you next time.